Morning traders, welcome to another session of Market Snapshot. Today is an interesting day, not your normal trading day. Why? We have two central banks, right? We have the BOC, we have the Fed, and that means explosive moves that could affect gold, NASDAQ, USD, the Canadian dollar. So today is not the day you trade emotionally, no. The market may punish you. So today is more of structure, trading the structure, being patient, and of course, looking at risk management as the key facet of your moves today. So I'll be breaking down today on the BOC, Fed, what to expect on gold, NASDAQ, and also the major pairs. So right now, let's have a look at the BOC. As you can see from my screen, later at 5:45 Kenyan time, this is GMT +3, we'll be having our overnight rate announcement. We will see whether the Canadian dollar will be changing this. However, previous was 2.25. Traders are expecting it to remain at 2.25, right? So we are actually waiting for that actual number. But now the interest rate is not really what counts in most cases. What counts is the rate statement and this one, the press conference, because you'll want to hear the tone of the governor, right? What is his tone? Remember, if you look at stats from Canada, we can see they're still below the inflation rate. Every central bank is always working towards 2% and below. So we've seen China has cracked that, EU has cracked it, Germany has done so, India has done so, Italy has done so. So this is where now the government will always be looking at. And this is why in terms of monetary policy, they always want to work with interest rates, right? So that they can bring down inflation. If the inflation is high, then they have to they have to hike the interest rate, right? But then if inflation cools down, then that's where now they also need to bring down the interest rates, because high interest rates have an impact on the economy. Loans become expensive, and that means businesses that want to expand have to shelve those plans, right? And that could now affect job creation, and that means consumer spending, and overall the whole economy is affected. So every government is always looking at that balance to make sure that inflation doesn't go up, and also to make sure that there's enough money in the economy to expand that economy. And we all know if an economy is not doing well, if there are no jobs, then social unrest will come up. Guys will mug each other. There'll be deaths. There'll be, all manner of theft and all many social evils that happen when people lack jobs. So the government has to be on top of that, at least a responsible government, right? So let's go back to this one. So if they maintain these, maybe we will see the Canadian dollar may not act until later at 6:30 p.m. during the press conference. Remember, this is totally unscripted. This is them first. There's always the first part where they read out the statement saying, hey, this is why we came up with this decision. Maybe we looked at these factors and these factors. Of course, they'll have to include the US and the tariffs and whatever is going on between Canada and US. And so based on that, they're able to make projections and say, to safeguard what we've had so far, maybe 1, 2, 3. And then now the reporters will come in and pose questions like, what's your long-term outlook with regards to our relationship with the US, right? Remember, majority of the Canadian products, majority of their market is in the US. So they can't really mess up, right? They're a country of 41 million people. Compare that with the US, which has a population of what? 341 million. I mean, who doesn't want to access such a market, right? Yeah, so you may play hardball, but at the end of the day, look at what feeds your country, and just have to work with what they're saying. In this case, what Trump is saying, right? You have no choice, either that or you lose out on that market. So that is all on the BOC. We should expect that to play out later at 5:45. Expect some volatility, but then I'll expect more volatility at 6:30. So what's the gameplay here? In most cases, don't trade the initial moves. Those are normally fake moves, right? So wait for the market to settle, and then once the structure is clear, I'm expecting that all of us have trading strategies. This is my buy area, this is my sell area. So wait for those areas, wait for price to come to those areas, and then trade based on the confirmations. Don't just enter blindly. No, trade also based on confirmations. If you are to use a lot size of, let's say, if you've been using a standard lot size 1, right? You might want to reduce that during this high impact news to maybe 0.2, right? You're making sure that you have funds to trade tomorrow. Capital preservation should be your key element today. And anytime there's high impact news, look at capital preservation as your goal, because you want to trade tomorrow. So don't blow your funds today trying to make those big moves and end up, losing instead. So that's it on Canadian dollar. We don't expect much, but I'll be looking at the technicals data and see what USD CAD is saying. Later, the mother of all news, and this is what the world is expecting, right? Not just the US. Why? The global reserve does not, the Fed does not just move the dollar. No, it's global risk. Everyone is looking at what's happening in the US, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, the dollar is the world's reserve currency, right? So everyone wants to know what's the way forward. Today is not just about the rate decision, because clearly, if we look at SME Fed Watch, 97% of the guys are expecting that we will maintain these at 3.75. So there isn't much change to it. Only 2.8% expect that to change, because you're looking at statistics. If you go back to stats on the US, yes, they still have a long way to go in terms of reducing this inflation to 2%. But then the jobless rate has gone down to 4.4. The employment numbers, I think last month, December, they were 50K. They added 50K to job numbers. That means the economy is doing well. 50,000 jobs were created. And of course, that employment rate was decreased to 4.4%. So that tells you consumer spending has remained strong. Courtesy of course, when guys are employed, you still have money to spend, right? And there were some earlier concerns of economic slowdown, but then when the numbers came out in December, no. And then of course retail sales also rose before the holiday season, and that meant, well, guys are spending, so that's good for the economy. So I think moving forward, what will matter today is actually not what will matter today is this one: the statement, and of course the press conference. This will be key, because we'll want to hear the tone of Powell, like, okay, is he dovish, hawkish? There's this meme, some of us are accustomed to. Let me play it out. Yeah, where everyone is expecting this. Yeah, we are all expecting to see what happens when Powell says good afternoon, right? So let's see how the market plays, but more of the tone, like, why did they come up with that decision? What's the outlook? Because we need to hear the outlook on inflation, on jobs, on the tariffs. We've seen the global tensions in the world right now because of Trump and the tariffs and all that. So we'll want to hear what the Fed has to say. Of course, we've seen so many politics playing out. There's the whole accusation against Powell with the renovations. But there's this whole consensus that this is happening because Powell has stood his ground. He's not cutting the interest rates. He's working with data, right? And of course, he's not the only one running the show. It's the governors, right? Because at the end of the day, the interest of the country comes first, and that's why you entrust such institutions to people who you believe are learned, right? Remember, Powell was selected by Trump in Trump 101, 1.0. So it's always good that you have independence, right? I remember there's a case at the Supreme Court where Trump fired one of the governors, and it's been raising conversations. How independent are we? Are we able to make decisions for the best interest of the country, right? Without political pressure? Because if you bring in political pressure, then you've opened a can of worms. Because what happens to the country? Yeah, so we saw earlier Trump saying he's okay with the dollar, with the weak dollar. Look, if you look at the America First conversation by Trump, it's making the US an export country, right? So when the dollar is weak, well, that's good for the for the US products, because they are cheaper, they are competitive in the global markets. So let's see how that plays out, but expect a lot of volatility. Be geared up for that. And your work as a trader is to make sure that, one, you're on guard, right? Because a dovish tone will lead to the weakening of the dollar. If, let's say, Powell points out that maybe we could probably be looking at trade cuts in our next meetup, then the dollar will weaken big time at that point in time, and you'll see the gold will skyrocket. Anything that has the dollar as the core currency will be a buy, right? However, if the Fed is hawkish, if the Fed sticks to a higher for longer, like we're still waiting to see how things plays out, then the dollar strengthens, and that means gold will be a sell. Any pair that has dollar as the quote currency will weaken. So gold will often spike. First move will be a fake move in most cases on gold. So be careful if you're doing gold. It's normally a trap in most cases. Of course, we want to see how NASDAQ will react, and we'll be analyzing that. Of course, if the rate cuts come into focus, then of course, what happens? Bullish NASDAQ, because at the end of the day, a rate cut means loans will be cheaper. So guys are able to invest. The companies in NASDAQ, the Microsoft, they're able to take loans and invest in whatever products they want to get into. So that means it's a plus for NASDAQ. However, if the Fed is hawkish, then expect NASDAQ to be bearish, right? Because that means interest rates could remain high, and that would affect some of their plans. Every company has these long-term plans, and so that could be affected, leading to a bearish NASDAQ. Now, with that understanding, let's have a look at our technicals and see what will play out. So a lot will only be on the tones. Today, it's all about the tones of the governors in Canada, and also Powell. We'll want to hear what is their projection, when is the next possible rate cut, because we are looking at more of rate cuts, right? Yeah, so let's get to our technicals and see what the charts are saying. If you have any questions, kindly engage me, and I'll have a look at them later. So we can start off with USD CHF. USD CHF has been bearish. The last time we were this low was actually, we are heading to the low of 2011. And so once again, the weak dollar playing out. Let's see how USD reacts. Let's see how USD CHF reacts to this low. Yesterday's low. That's a possible area on USD CHF. I would want to see how it tests this area and how price will react, right? Especially during FOMC. If not FOMC, maybe we could see a possible drop, and then maybe a bullish move before continuation of the sell. So today is a day where your work is to react to the moves. Don't try and predict this, because you really can't, right? Just because there'll be a lot of fake moves, and being the first Fed meeting of the year, you can expect so many accounts will be wiped out. For guys who don't respect risk management, some guys who got into trading this year. Well, hope they get to watch this video and understand that tomorrow is another day, right? Tomorrow we'll still have trading opportunities. Don't blow your account trying to take these trades, right? Yeah, so trade with some good risk management. Yeah. Okay. That will be my analysis on USD CHF so far. Like probably a test of this low, and then probably we could see price being bullish after that as a short-term thing. Overall, I'm still weak on the dollar. Okay. But it all depends, guys. It all depends on what Powell will say later. Let's look at GBP USD. GBP USD, I'm still bullish. We can see GBP USD hit last year's high. So the next area, possible area where I would want to see GBP USD come to is this one. There's another block here. That one, has it been tested? Let me see. Oh yeah, it has been tested. It's already been tested, and that's why you can see some moves here. So probably I would want to see GBP USD. Let's go to the monthly, because ideally you want to get a clear picture of this market. So you can look at the whole candle. That one, 39.08. That's a possible area on GBP USD. Okay, so probably we could see some bearish moves on USD, sorry, on GBP USD. But all these guys, remember, it's pegged on what will happen later. So maybe we can see a bullish move. Maybe a bullish move. And then a test of yesterday's high. Then probably we could see some bears coming in before continuation of the bullish move. Audi USD, we were analyzing this pair yesterday during our special webinar, and the projection is still this high. I would want to see how Audi USD reacts to that high. It's courtesy of this area, right? So 70.57 is an area of interest for me. 757 is an area of interest for me. That's the only time I'll probably look at short opportunities on Audi USD. But then long term, I'm still looking at a bullish Audi USD to probably that area. 72.50, 56 or thereabout. Yeah. So that will be my outlook on Audi USD. I'm still bullish until 70.57. That is 50 pips from the current market price. From there, we could encounter some bears, then some other bulls to take over to 72.60. Let's have a look at Euro USD, then gold, USD CAD, very important. Nasdaq, UT100. Yeah, if you're trading oil, there's this whole conversation of the US attacking Iran. So be on the watch out, because prices of oil could, if that ever happens, expect oil prices to go up big time. Okay, so this is Euro USD. Just like we've seen on the other pairs, I would want to see a move. By the way, this move was occasioned by that conversation by Trump when he said that he's okay. He's okay with the dollar being weak, right? And the dollar kept dumping, yeah, kept weakening and hit that high. So let's go to the monthly chart. On the weekly, yeah, so I would still want to see how Euro USD reacts to that high. Yeah, that high, 22.73. So I'm still bullish on Euro USD, but for now, probably we could see a push to that high, then a bearish push before a continuation of the bullish push. So this is more of an intraday play. Swing, if you're looking at swing trades, position trades, I'm bullish. But nothing stops Euro USD from coming way down before taking on a bullish move. Gold, well, as long as there's the global tension, as long as everyone does not understand what's playing out, gold will hit all-time highs, will keep hitting all-time highs. So I'm still bullish on gold. We could hit 5,500 by end of, let's say, this week. There's a possibility you could hit that 5,500 target. So let's see how that plays out. Every downward move on gold is an opportunity to enter a sell. But like I've mentioned, there could be a problem today if Powell is bullish, hawkish. Sorry, like if he brings in a hawkish tone, then we could see some sell-offs on gold. Yeah, so let's see how that plays out. So a lot is pegged on today's FOMC. USD CAD. Yeah, so if you go to lower time frames, we are headed to last year's low. You see this low? Yeah. So is where we are headed to. So let's see how USD CAD reacts to that low that was set up in May. Was it June? Sorry, I think June, yeah? That was set up in June. This is the low that USD CAD needs to test. So if it was to test this area, then this becomes a possible area with some buyers. So you could see some potential bullish moves. But overall, I'm still looking at a weak USD CAD, but we could see some bullish moves to probably this area. Yeah, somewhere around there. 150 pips move. UT 100, Nasdaq. Bullish, bullish, bullish. So Nasdaq is coming to this high of 2025. That's where we should see Nasdaq hitting, and that means if it all depends on what Powell says. If he points towards a rate cut in the next meetup or something of the sort, then we should see Nasdaq strengthening, could breach that high and continue going up. Because remember, like I mentioned, Nasdaq is a beneficiary of rate cuts, big beneficiary because of the cheap loans. Yeah, so that could lead to a bullish move. But then, if the Fed is hawkish, then we will see a bearish Nasdaq. Okay, so I think that's it on the major pairs. USD, CHF, GBP USD, AUD USD, Euro USD, Gold, USD CAD, Nasdaq. Let me see what questions you guys have. Can we look at NZD USD? Oh, I had not analyzed then. Okay, okay. Let me have a look at it. Let's see how NZD USD. In most cases, NU will follow AU. Yeah, NU will always follow AU. Let's go to the highs. Aha. Let's go into these highs. These are key areas on NZD USD. Just like I've said on AUD USD, I'm still bullish, right? So we have these key areas. These are areas with sellers. One, on that moving average, you can see what happened in 2024. The moving average acted as resistance. So I would expect some bit of resistance here. The other area where we could encounter some resistance is from last year's high. There are some sellers here, but overall, these are just pullbacks. The goal is for us to hit a swing trade of around 200 pips to this order block here. So this is where I would now anticipate if we hit there, NZD USD probably will come down almost 500 pips. That's that's what I would want to see on NZD USD SAMI. So for now, bullish, 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 bullish. Any downward move is an opportunity for me to enter a sell at a cheaper price. But like I said, what happens today is very important, very important. Yeah, very important. But those are key areas: 60.74, 61.23, and 62.27. Okay, any other trade you'll want us to look at? Oh, USD JPY. Okay, let's see USD JPY and GJ. That right there is an area of interest on the monthly. We could encounter some bit of some support there. These are two areas with some buyers. So you can see some bit of some buyers here on the moving average. Then how far can they hold? Yeah, so probably I would want to see a move to either here or here. Then maybe we can see some bullish move on USD JPY. So those are two areas that I would want to see being tested. 150.89, 151.67. There's some strong support there. And the goal will be to close some gap over here. What about GJ? Let's go to higher time frames. Let's see how GJ reacts to this area. Yeah, so I'm bearish. I'll be looking at a bearish push to maybe that area where we have an order block here that could act as some support. That's it, John. Any other trade that we should be looking at? So we've just looked at USD CHF, GBP USD, Audi USD, Euro USD, gold, USD CAD, UT100, Nasdaq, NZD USD, USD JPY, GBP JPY, US30, Dow Jones. Okay. Dow Jones, just like Nasdaq, it's a big beneficiary of rate cuts. Let's go to monthly. H4. Okay, we could see a possible push to that area. Alternatively, we have that area. Maybe a bearish push, and then from there, we could see a bullish move. That's it, Daniel. Any other asset? Hello, do you guys offer Kenyan stocks? No, we don't, Silau. Okay. I don't see any other question. So be on the guard today. Don't blow your account just because you want to make quick cash. Okay. Some of us have done that before, only for us to find opportunities later. So please observe risk management. Uh, don't trade the first spike. Maybe don't oversize. Okay. Don't chase candles. Always have a plan. Wait for clarity, and that means you must have a plan to it. Trade structure, like you've seen me pointing out areas. These are areas where if those trades come to, right, these are the areas. This is the structure. If price comes to these areas, I will be looking at confirmations so that I can enter those trades. If they don't give me confirmations, I stay away from them. Yeah, that's the goal. No confirmations, no entry. Wacha ikae. I would rather keep I would rather not take a trade than take a trade, lose some money, and then tomorrow I start seeing good setups. I've been through that vicious cycle countless times until I decided, you know what, I'll be disciplined. So if your risk isn't defined today, right, there's a high chance you'll end up blowing your account. Yeah. So let's look out. Let's see how the Fed sets the tone and be bullish. That's it. Bye bye.